What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Desai Guys Football Forum. I am one of your co-hosts, Dermot Desai, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Desai Guys, Mr. Tad Desai. And Tad, man, you're absolutely rocking this head-to-head challenge.
4-0, baby.
4-0. Yeah, the first two were, pretty close. You were able to squeak by, but the last two got me pretty good. Good. It's been tough to get over the hump here on my side, but yeah, you've been rocking and rolling, man. Congrats so far.
Especially impressive considering I put together my last lineup at like 4 a.m. in the morning. So, I'm just good at this, man. That's just how I do.
Well, I think maybe, the DFS gods are shining down on you. You didn't do so well in the baseball. At least you get even up at the football here.
You can chalk it up to DFS gods. I'm just that good. That's what I'm running with.
And hey, you know what? All of you watching and listening, there's a reason that we're doing this shift here. We know what we're talking about, or at least with DFS, half of us know what we're talking about here. So definitely, tune in. Obviously, we're going to jump into week 8 here. We're going to talk about our value players that we like. Good value, bad value, in between, everything in between here. So we got a couple players that we want to go into. So Tad, obviously, the leader of the house here in the Desai Guys Football Forum. I'm going to pass it to you here first. Who's a guy that you like, don't like his value? I mean, just, give us a guy.
Yeah, to give our viewers a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look, is I've already set my DFS lineup for this week because I'm this confident. Maybe it's a little overconfidence, but I really do believe that this lineup will help me win. And every single player that I'm about to name, at least the undervalued ones, overvalued one, I stay away from. The undervalued ones.
Smart.
I put in my lineup. So first and foremost is the quarterback, and that is Kirk Cousins. He's valued at $6,500. Now, he is coming off a massive 31.5-point performance, and he's going to a game against a still lackluster Dallas Cowboys defense. Now, I know people are going to go, well, what about Trevon Diggs? Look, Trevon Diggs is good. I am not going to say he's not. But he's pretty much the sole bright spot of that defense, right? So Micah Parsons, while he looks good, he looks like a solid starter, still has some ways to go. Chidobe Awuzie, that departure is clearly hurting them more than I think they expected. So outside Trevon Diggs, that secondary is really, really not that good. So I can totally see Kirk Cousins absolutely having a field day on this Cowboys defense. And let's also not forget that the Carolina Panthers, who he struggled with, they don't have a pushover defense. So I understand that Kirk Cousins had, struggles against a very good Cleveland Browns defense and a very good Carolina Panthers defense the past couple weeks. But other than those 2 weeks, he has posted 25-plus points in every single game. So Kirk Cousins is an absolute steal at quarterback at $6,500. He is going to perform probably at the. I had to throw in the
gotta throw in the qualifier there.
The
probably.
Qualifier. Thank you. Yeah, exactly, probably, because I know someone's gonna go, oh, look at what you did. But I think Kirk Cousins is absolutely, for $6,500, worth the price because he could perform at the level of a top-tier quarterback for about $2,000 cheaper.
No, I think this is very good logic here. I think that game overall between Dallas and Minnesota, I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. It's going to be a battle between Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins, and they're both just going to air it out. And, they both got a lot of great weapons. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper on the Dallas side. You got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen on the Minnesota side. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a really good offensive show. Yeah, I totally forgetting about the running backs, Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott. So, yeah, this is going to be a very, keep the defenses on the bench sort of game. The offenses are just going to
single one of these defenses.
Exactly. Offenses are just going to have a really good performance on both sides. So, yeah, Dak Prescott's worth adding to your DFS roster, and definitely Kirk Cousins is a really good addition as well. I'm going with the second-year guy, currently, riding a hot streak here with Cincinnati, and that's Joe Burrow. He's only $7,100, and he's playing the Jets. So I think with the matchup there, it's like, I know it's 7,100, but, for the performance that he's probably going to put up, I think he's going to be worth every single penny. I mean, you have to look at this. In his last 4 weeks, Joe Burrow is averaging at least 25 fantasy points in DFS. This guy is absolutely rolling in this offense. The connection with Jamar Chase is definitely there. Obviously got Tyler Boyd. CJ Uzomah, having these, anomaly weeks where he just goes off and scores 2 touchdowns and 100 yards.
It's so bad if you have Uzomah on your roster right now, because it'll be 2 weeks of absolutely nothing and then 1 week of huge performance. So it's one of those things where you start him for 2 weeks and you're like, okay, fine, I'm gonna bench him, and then the second you decide to bench him, he goes off. That's what this is reminiscent of.
And Ted, we actually talked about this on an episode way back where it's just they have such great receivers. It's just why do they need to even involve the tight end? He's the forgotten man of the offense, but he totally proved us wrong. Every so often, because he's amazing weeks. So yeah, there's a lot of great weapons there. He's ranked for 6th in the NFL as far as leaders in passing yards. He's tied for 4th as far as passing touchdowns, and he has the 9th highest completion percentage in the NFL right now. So this guy is absolutely cooking with gas. And they're playing the Jets. Like I said, we talked about this before. They're going to be without Zach Wilson for 2 to 4 weeks. What did they go and do? They traded for Joe Flacco. On top of all that, they're not even starting Joe Flacco. They're going with the unproven, pretty much practice squad his entire career in the NFL so far, Mike White. Ted, do you know where Mike White went to college?
I just looked this up. I want to say Delaware, but I know that's because of Joe Flacco. I literally
You're right.
It up because I was listening to the Lebatard show the other day, and they were like, I dare anyone to tell me anything about Mike White. I'm like, I'm going to look this up. Oh, shit. Final guess, I don't know. San Diego State.
No, so completely wrong coast on this one. So you are correct, obviously.
I knew it was coast. That's the worst part.
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct. Delaware is where Joe Flacco went, but Mike White went to Western Kentucky.
Damn it.
Home of the Hilltoppers.
He was a transfer from. All right,
yes.
You keep talking. I'm going to look this up.
He was a transfer. He was a transfer from South Florida. Still on the same coast. You were completely
close enough. Florida, California, relatively close.
But yeah, like I said, I think just this offense, as well as the defense for Cincinnati, like I said, I talked about this in a previous episode, they're very underrated. They're really getting things done on the defensive side of the ball, and that allows opportunities for the offense and Joe Burrow to absolutely move down the field, score a bunch of points. They put up a 40 spot on the Baltimore Ravens. That was amazing to see.
Keep in mind, this is the same Ravens that nearly shut out the Chargers.
Exactly.
A week before.
Exactly. So, this Cincinnati team, watch out for them. Watch out for them for sure. But yeah, so that's why for $7,100, Joe Burrow is a very good addition to your DFS roster here in Week 8.
I completely agree. In my other league, I was playing a guy who sat a receiver and a defense, and he played Joe Burrow, and even just because he played Joe Burrow, it still gave me a little bit of a heart attack of is he going to pull this out? Because I did not put that much effort in my lineup because I knew he wasn't going to play 2 players, and Joe Burrow did so well that I was like, oh my God, he's about to pull off this upset of the year against me, because that would be my fantasy luck. But yeah, so Joe Burrow, 100%. Honestly, if he's still unrostered in your league, he's a great backup to have, even ignoring streaming options. So if Joe Burrow's in your league and you need a backup quarterback, absolutely go for it.
Exactly. Tad, who else you got as far as a good value play or a bad value play? Either way.
My friend, you know what? Let's stick with probably the most surprising offense of the league so far, the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going Joe Mixon at $6,900 for undervalued. Come on, that's a deal right there. And I kind of get it because he wasn't really doing much against the Ravens, because I just recently traded for Joe Mixon, again, in my other league. And the entire game I'm sitting there like, what did I do? What did I do? And then finally he had a garbage time touchdown. I'm like, thank you. So, yes, his last game was not so great against a Ravens defense. But again, this Ravens defense, I know they got off to a poor start. They are not a cupcake defense by any stretch of the imagination. So you look at, the fact that Joe Mixon is still their number one guy. I know people are going to go, well, P. Ryan had more points than him. P. Ryan broke off a garbage time long run as well. So do not worry about that. Joe Mixon is still their number one guy. And you look at some of the other prices on some of these running backs that, frankly, are going to do just as well as Mixon because, like you said, Amar, they're playing the Jets. which means the Bengals are probably going to get out to an early lead, which means a lot of handoffs to Joe Mixon. And you look at guys like Dalvin Cook, who is priced at $8,000, Austin Eckler, $7,900, and honestly, Najee Harris is more expensive than Joe Mixon at $7,500. Joe Mixon will probably have, if not the same production, better production than all those guys, and you can get him for cheaper than that. So he is playing the worst run defense in this league. Take advantage of the bad week that DraftKings is clearly putting this value at. I think Joe Mixon is probably the best value that you can get this entire week.
Yeah, I think probably he has the lower salary value because they expect Joe Burrow and the passing offense to sort of take off. So maybe that's why you see higher prices there.
Absolutely. First half, I think that passing offense, because I almost went with Jamar Chase is overvalued. But I was like, you know what? I bet he's going to break off like 2 long touchdowns. But that second half, it's going to be all Joe Mixon.
No, so that's why I completely agree. That's a really good value play here because, yeah, once they get ahead by a lot, they'll probably just need to milk the clock, run the ball. That's where Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon will come into play. He'll definitely, Jamar Chase will have a really good game too. Like I would be surprised.
Forget Rookie of the Year. This dude's an MVP candidate. That dude is ridiculous.
He's absolutely killing it right now after all the talk.
I never said they should have taken Penei Sewell over him. I always said Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell.
I mean, it's really putting to shame like all those people that were worried about, the preseason camps about him dropping a lot of balls and not being able to track because you can't see the white that you can in college footballs.
I'm convinced that was a tank job just so he could take himself in fantasy football.
Very well could have been. But yeah, so Joe Mixon, I think, could get a lot of action in that second half, could really earn you a lot of points for your DFS lineup for sure.
Real quick, can we just say RIP for the Dolphins? They could have had Herbert, but they took Tua. I don't think they could have had Chase. Chase went before Waddle, but they could have had Sewell. Damn, Dolphins, learn how to draft, man. Like, damn.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with the Dolphins.
Bottom line, don't take Waddle. Don't take really any Dolphin. Just stay away from that team altogether.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day, just what happened with the Dolphins, because they were one of our picks to, really make a deep run and just, oh, sweet Lord, they're not doing anything at all. So, Tad, I'm going to stick at the running back position here, but I'm actually going to go with the overvalue play here, and that's Alvin Kamara versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, priced at $8,700. And I mean, yes, through his first 4 games of the season, this is sort of the comparison that I want to make here. So, through the first 4 games of the season, Kamara was averaging 15.25 fantasy points in DFS. Through his last 2 weeks, it's 33.05. So you may think that's like, okay, recency bias, he's doing a lot better now, a little bit more adjusted to playing in the NFL season, things along those lines, but came against weaker defenses. It's hard for me to say weaker defense with the name like Washington, but they have not been playing elite level either.
Been shit this entire
exactly.
They should be good, but they aren't.
Exactly. And then they also played the Seattle Seahawks most recently, where he just got target after target after target. I went against Alvin Kamara. I was biting my nails. It was so close of a matchup.
For our listeners, he was texting me this entire game, and I was just like, dude, I think I'm going to win my bet. He's like, I don't care about your bet.
Exactly.
Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, but he was getting heavily involved in that offense, and so it's like he will get force-fed, but just the tough thing here is that you see those first 4 weeks, they played against better defenses. They played against Green Bay. They played against Carolina. They played against New England. Okay, they played the New York Giants, which has not been so good, but still, it's just saying that it's like against the better defenses, they've been able to neutralize what Kamara can do for the offense and sort of relying on the fact that it's like, hey, Jameis Winston, why don't you beat us? And they kind of haven't, or it's been really a struggle for the most part. So in season-long fantasy, if you have him on your fantasy roster, you start your stud. So absolutely, he should be in your starting lineup. But here in a situation with DFS where you have a choice, I think you could go in a different direction, especially for the fact that it's like they're playing the Buccaneers, who had such an amazing performance against the Chicago Bears. I know it's Justin Fields, and you could say that the inexperience there, just the Bears are a little bit of a mess with Matt Nagy and just like so many other issues. But still, if you could put that sort of performance on any team in a given week, that's still saying something. I know they're defending Super Bowl champions, but still, I mean, they have an elite level run defense. They're allowing the fewest rushing yards in the league and are tied for the 3rd fewest rushing touchdowns as well. They have one of the best tandems at linebackers in the league with Levante David and Devin White. They can cover Kamara out of the backfield if he needs to go out on passing downs, whereas Seattle just didn't have that. I mean, they have Bobby Wagner, but besides that, Jordan Brooks.
Like, I don't. Adams, sir.
What was Jamal Adams doing? Like, he wasn't doing much either still.
What the hell was Jamal Adams doing in general is a great question.
Yeah. Also, this defense is tied for 8th in pressures, tied for 11th in sacks. So that means that, they're going to put Jameis Winston in situations where he's going to be pressured. So even something as simple as like a dump-off, check-off pass to Alvin Kamara, he may not have time to do that either because they'll be so getting after him, providing so much pressure. It'll be like these, he'll have to force to take the sack or throw the ball away, whatever it is. So for that reason, I know he's such an elite talent, Alvin Kamara, but for the second most expensive running back in DFS this week, I think you can look in other directions. Exactly like I said, like Joe Mixon's a great option. I mean, there's a lot of great other options that are way cheaper than Alvin Kamara that could do a lot better. So for me, overvalue Alvin Kamara, I think it's pretty easy.
I mean, I completely agree with you. Is because so correct me if I misunderstood your argument. You're saying that the Packers shut them down. What were the other defenses? The Panthers,
the Packers, the Panthers, New England, the Patriots, and then the Giants. I was like, there's a pass there because
I mean, New England and Green Bay, good defenses. I'm not going to take anything away from those defenses, but are we really going to call them good?
Well, better than the two that he just faced. And that's why I said, it's like, the logic is a little bit different, but it's just like, you can see that he was able to take advantage of the weaker defenses. So that's why he's able to up his numbers there. Where against a little bit better defenses, they struggle a little bit. They know that this is the guy they need to stop. They were able to limit him. Like I said, he's still an elite player. He'll still get his numbers. And season long, absolutely need to start him. But for DFS, I think he can go in different directions. That's my whole point there.
Absolutely fair point, because in typical Tom Brady fashion, this guy, I don't even say anything against Tom Brady. I finally am off the boat of like, oh, he's washed. I'm not doing it this season. I'm not doing it. I say one time that the Buccaneers defense is overrated, and now all of a sudden they're proving me wrong. This defense is right back to where they were supposed to be this season. They are looking great. It's just, I swear to God, his aura just like rubs off on everyone around him on that practice field. It's really freaking annoying, and I just lost out on the Rob Gronkowski bid, in case anyone was wondering about that. So I'm not really happy with the Buccaneers right now. Bottom line is, I completely agree that it's just not worth the price. Like you say, he's $8,700. Austin Eckler's cheaper. Najee Harris is cheaper. Jonathan Taylor, if he plays, is cheaper. Deandre Swift, Philadelphia is a 26th ranked run defense this year. So DeAndre Swift, I could see having a really good week this week. Look at what he did against the Rams. That's a great defense that he had massive success. Granted, it was mostly as a receiving back, but who cares? It's still success.
Speaking of the Rams, Darrell Henderson against Houston, there's a really good cheap play too.
Because it's the same thing that we were talking about. It's just going to be they're milking the running back for the whole second half in all likelihood. So, yes, 100%. You can find way better deals for $1,000, $1,500, maybe even $2,000 cheaper. Don't go for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, exactly. So, Tad, I know the last guy that you have is an overvalued player. So, who's that guy?
I mean, same deal as look, I'm not saying this is a bad matchup. I'm just saying for the price, it's not worth it. That's CeeDee Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys going against the Minnesota Vikings. Look, I know Minnesota's secondary hasn't been amazing this year, but they also aren't someone just to walk all over. They had Patrick Peterson still, who definitely past his prime, because, man, I was kind of hoping he'd find that a little bit of a career revival in Minnesota.
Get the spark back? Yeah. No.
That's happening. But at the same time, so they're 18th ranked in terms of fantasy, right? So, sure, they're not great, but they're also not terrible. So my whole thing is just, it's kind of the Cincinnati problem. This is why notice how none of us picked Uzomah. Because Uzomah is just so low on that pecking order. It's the same reason in our last episode I said look out for Ertz, because Ertz and Uzomah are just so low on the pecking order. I know CeeDee Lamb is higher on the Dallas Cowboys pecking order, but the bottom line is there's a pecking order that's cause for concern. So CeeDee Lamb is valued at $7,800. I just don't see it. You see in weeks 3 and 4, he finished below 5 points, showing that he's still capable of falling short of true wide receiver number one performances. That's a better way to say that.
Yeah.
I corrected myself. You don't need to give me that face. So, look, I'm not saying that CeeDee Lamb is going to have a bad game against this Vikings team. And honestly, knowing my luck, he's probably going to blow up. But the whole point of this is if you want to go heavy on running backs, which I think you should do, don't go for CeeDee Lamb because there's so much unnecessary risk of him potentially falling short there because there are just so many more weapons on that offense. You look at guys like Jamar Chase, Mike Williams, DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman. And yes, I purposely put Michael Pittman last because I know you're going to be like, really, Michael Pittman over CeeDee Lamb? Yes, really, Michael Pittman over CeeDee Lamb because at least you know Michael Pittman's going to be probably getting more targets than CeeDee Lamb. I don't trust any receiver on this Cowboys offense to perform consistently. So for that price range, I better be getting a true number one guy. I am not buying into CeeDee Lamb being your go-to number one guy. I mean, for fuck's sake, Dalton Schultz could end up with more catches than CeeDee Lamb, and it wouldn't surprise me. That's how weird this Cowboys offense is.
That's very fair logic, but we talked about this just very earlier, in this episode here, that's like this game is going to be very offensive. So I think every player is going to be involved in this offense. So I understand the pecking order, and it's really going to be random as far as who's going to get more of the attention from Dak Prescott or, specifically Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator. But I think there's going to be enough targets to go around in this particular game that CeeDee Lamb will still get good value. But 7,800 is still a little steep. That's the thing.
You can allocate your resources so much in a much smarter way.
Yeah.
Hey, I will, invest more in my running backs here, go for more secure tight end, and then take a flyer on a wide receiver. Just look at all the guys I named. Those guys are $1,000 cheaper. That's the thing. If this price was like $200-$300, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's worth the risk. He's like $1,000 more expensive than all the other big name receivers I just named, especially DK Metcalf. That's the guy I'd go for.
Yeah, so I think the price is just a little bit too steep. Like you said, if he was maybe $200, $300 cheaper, like around that $7,500 range, I'd be like, absolutely stick him into your roster. I think he's a good guy to have there. But for $7,800, that's sort of going to affect your building out the roster for the rest of the positions that you have. So I still think he's going to go off.
But third most expensive receiver on the market.
There you go. So I still think he's going to have a good day, but it's just like, yeah, whether it's worth paying that $7,800. Same thing we talked about with Alvin Kamara. It's just like, I think he'll still have a pretty good game, but just for $8,700 or $7,800 in this case with Lamb, that's the thing you want to avoid. So now, Tad, I'm going to work off of this, and I'm going to talk about the same offense, but I'm going to talk about Amari Cooper, and it's a good value play here. So for exactly. So for $6,100, you can get Amari Cooper, who is going to have just as good of a game most likely. Now, you have to look at the fact that CeeDee Lamb has probably had a good last couple of weeks because Amari Cooper's been dealing with a hamstring injury that he suffered.
My mic. I hit my mic on that.
So Amari Cooper's been dealing with a hamstring injury that he suffered 3 weeks ago, and with the benefit of the bye week, he's been able to heal up, and I think he's going to be the go-to option for Dak Prescott more often now, as long as he can stay healthy. So at least for one more week, he will be healthy. We'll see what happens after this week, but for $6,100, I think he's going to get a lot of attention. Like I said, this is going to be a very much of an air-it-out attack by both offenses, so CeeDee Lamb's going to get involved, Amari Cooper's going to get involved, Dalton Schultz going to get involved. I mean, all the guys on the Cowboys offense will get involved, and so for $6,100, like I said, you get the similar performance that you may get with CeeDee Lamb, but at 17, what's the math here? Is $7,800, $6,100? That's $1,600 cheaper, $1,700 cheaper, whatever it is. It's just
17. I was letting you get there at that point. $1,700. You know when I get you on the math, that's bad.
So $1,700 cheaper, you get a guy who's going to do the same performance. I mean, we talked about this. Minnesota has a good defense, but I think this is going to be very much just both defenses just, bench them. Do not touch their defenses this week. In season-long DFS, whatever it is, they're going to get blown up for sure on both sides by both offenses. Yeah, I mean, I can't really put it up any better than that. You have to look at the fact that it's through weeks 2 through 6, CeeDee Lamb has gotten more targets and Cooper has gotten less with, 34 targets for CeeDee Lamb from weeks 2 through 6 and only 26 for Cooper. But like I said, I think that's because of the hamstring injury. He's going to come over that. It's going to be a very, offensive day, very high scoring. So yeah, for the $1,700 cheaper price, go with Cooper over CeeDee Lamb.
Look, man, if you're in a position where you have to start either the Vikings or Cowboys defense, hit us up on Twitter. We will help you out. That is a fancy intervention just waiting to happen. We will find you a better position. My God, do not do that.
Exactly. There are better defenses out there. We are here to help you out.
The Jaguars, man. At least they're playing Geno Smith.
Exactly. You got more potential with the Jaguars defense or the Seahawks defense on the flip side. Either one.
Hey, I'm starting the Seahawks defense. They're good.
I saw that. I saw you pick them up. But yeah, exactly.
Well, when you're in a 14-man league, you got to go with what you
This again.
That's how I bring it up every video.
So Tad already brought it up. We're here to help you out if you need some advice with the waiver wire, with trades, with DFS plays, everything. Exactly. We're here to help you out. We got all the Twitter handles on the ticker below. You got my handle, under the side 23. You got Tad's at Tad the side 94. You got the show handle, D Desai Guys. Interact with us. We're here to help you out. Whether it's sports betting or DFS or season long, whatever you sort of need some help with, we're here to help you out. Interact with us. We're more than willing to sort of go after, give you some additional research to help you make the best decisions week in and week out. And hey, if you like that sweet shirt that Tad's wearing, or the sweet shirt that I'm wearing, because I'm wearing it as well. Hey. So you got it on the light shirt, you got it on the dark shirt, whatever you want. You can find.
I'm not kidding. We have 8 different color options. It's awesome.
There's quite a few. But yeah, there's a different logo for the darker shirts versus the lighter shirts. So we have both links posted in the comments. Go out, get yourself an awesome t-shirt, a sweatshirt. It's getting colder out there. Couldn't hurt to have a new sweatshirt in your closet there. There's also mugs and stickers and so many other cool things that you buy with the Desai Guys logo on it. Go out there, support the podcast. We appreciate you guys. Everybody that's tuning in, watching, listening, subscribing, rating, anything and everything in between. Appreciate you guys so much.
Good luck this weekend.